Looks like not much has changed then. What do you mean? Diabolus isn't new in Cobb. The name existed before the Cataclysm, passed like a mash from one extremist group to another. The faces and agendas changed, but the name didn't. It just shed its skin like a snake and continued on. I didn't know that. Well, I doubt this group has anything to do with the last people who used the name. But until we crack the inner circle, we won't be able to know. I'll find out what I can and get back to you. Sounds good. I have a stop to make before I call it a night. Okay, call me if you need anything. Vigil guided the Stingray deeper into the city canyons, watching the darkness claim the buildings as the sun sank in the distance. Lights winked on, intermittently in the poorer parts of the city, brighter in the safer areas, while Manhaven and Haven Court glowed like Christmas decorations. Stirring up a cloud of dust, Vigil set the Stingray down on top of an abandoned building before exiting and entering the rooftop stairwell. The splintered steps creaked under his weight as he descended. Switching to night vision made negotiating the dark interior no problem, and it took only seconds to get to the old meat market where Slick was supposed to be waiting for him. Scanning the store with infrared revealed a single figure nervously pacing back and forth. Vigil didn't have the heart to cloak himself with the cape and scare the life out of Slick. The poor man already looked on the verge of a nervous breakdown the last time he pulled that stunt, and he figured he'd be a little more casual the second time around. Slick still jumped nervously, eyes wide with fear when Vigil entered. You supposed to meet hours ago. I got held up. Was damp with sweat, his hair lank across his brow. He lifted a vape to his mouth with trembling fingers. I got what you wanted, about Cerberus. Three-pronged operation, Diabolus, Crimson Kings, and Grim Reaper Posse. Headed up by a man named Janus. I already know all about it. Slick's eyes widened further. How could you find out? Don't worry about it. I'm cutting you loose, Slick. I got what I need, so you can go and do whatever you plan to do. Just stay clear of the syndicates. They're going down. Slick froze, staring in disbelief. You're letting me go? That's right. Why would you? Vigil turned toward the door. Figured you could use a second chance, Slick. Go to Harry's Plumbing and see Mr. Brown if you're looking for employment. It's scab work, but it's steady and will keep you out of the way of anyone who might be looking for you. Got it? No. Slick squeezed his eyes shut and slapped his hands against his temples. No, no, no. Vigil stared. What's the problem? Slick looked up with a tormented expression. Thought you were gonna keep stalking me. Just wanted to escape. Didn't mean for this to happen. Vigil twisted his wrists, charging his G-spans. What did you do, Slick? Slick turned to the window, staring at the building across the street. I told them everything. They're looking for you. Got a bounty out for your... Vigil's threat detector pulsed. He snatched Slick and propelled backward, smashing right through the sheetrock at the same time.
And it's just great to have it piggyback off each other. I feel like we need that. We need things like that. I like the coaching. Detailed as well. Keep the defense honest. So we're doing everything right. The little things right. Defenses don't know what we're doing, what we're capable of on offense, any given play. And with the type of coach that Declan's bringing, that I believe he's bringing the sky to limit. Yeah, the story of Lamar, the way he told it, he was like, I was supposed to get a naked play, boot action, and then like you mentioned, he tossed the ball, and apparently Declan was like, Lamar, what the F you doing? And Lamar said he's like, damn, that's on me. But it wasn't like he cursed him out, like you said. He didn't call him out and shoo him out in front of this rant, I guess, just going crazy. But he was just like, what the F you do? And then Lamar said he laughed because he said he wasn't used to it. And he was just being a coach. He said nothing more, nothing less than that. But it feels like there is a true partnership here in the field, which I love, and you kind of alluded to some of it in what we just talked about. But when Todd Monken came in, and the overarching theme from the Greg Roman offense, where he really didn't have a ton of freedom to do what he was able to do with Todd Monken, it was, hey, we're going to give the keys to Lamar. It feels like this is an even more elevated version of that. It's like a true partnership of like, hey, we're going over things together. And that's what's so great. You're right, two young men. And at the end of the day, these are guys that are learning together, implementing a new system. And it feels like while the trust certainly is still growing, I think they're off to a great start on the right foot.
Yeah, I mean, it's been talked about all offseason, right? Lamar's involvement with the coaching search, certainly head coach and offensive coordinator. He's talked about it. He talked about the new system. And I think this was even a number of interesting comments today. I want to parse through them. Don't want to read into the tea leaves too much, but I think there's a couple of things worth addressing head on. One is he said there's a lot less carryover from Greg Roman's system, from Todd Monken's system to Jack Doyle's than there was from Greg Roman's to Todd Monken's. From Roman's system, they kept a lot of the kind of the best stuff of Roman's system and let Monken come in and establish a lot of new stuff. But there was still a lot of that power running, heavy personnel. I'm not saying that that's not going to be a part of the new scheme. They're going to do it in a different way. And so, even down to the terminology, things like that have been very, very different. And so that brings a new element of learning into the room where everyone's kind of operating in the same, okay, we have to all learn the new terminology and the new playbook and kind of build ourselves up from the bottom. So that's one element of it. I think the other thing is the comparisons to the past regime, right? This is kind of going to be inescapable, especially as we run out of
When you think about Mark Andrews, is it that play where Lamar tossed it to him in the back of the end zone and he hopped over not one but two Browns defenders for a touchdown? Is it the hurricane play where he faked it like he was going to hand it off and this man turned around and took off all the way to the end zone? Or is it a play like the end of the 2024 season when he dropped the 2-point conversion to tie the game against the Bears? Whatever it is, I'm sure nothing that came to anybody's mind was him being a potential breakout candidate in the 2026 season. That's why this article from CBS Sports, Tyler Sullivan, it really caught me by surprise because I would have never thought Mark Andrews would be named as an under-the-radar breakout star candidate for the Baltimore Ravens. Well, let's listen to his reason. He said the following: I wouldn't necessarily blame you if you written off Mark Andrews at this point. After all, the veteran tight end turns 31 before the start of the regular season and is coming off a 2025 season where he rolled a career low 422 yards this season, despite playing in all 17 games. That is crazy. That is just wild. And I feel like with Mark Andrews this offseason, it's been really quiet. Ever since Isaiah Likely left, we just really haven't talked about Mark Andrews much and really haven't heard much about Mark Andrews. Well, let's see what Tyler had to continue to say. He said, but all that allows him to qualify as an under-the-radar candidate for Baltimore. Remember, the Ravens saw fellow tight end Isaiah Likely leaving free agency to sign a deal with the Giants. That leaves 36 targets for 2025 up for grabs, and the Ravens didn't bring in much competition to take over Likely's role. That's true. That's why we were thinking, oh, David the Junkie, the agent. Oh, right. They said no. He went to sign with the Chargers. And then there's been talk that the Ravens are a potential team that could take on Kyle Pitts. We'll see, but that hasn't happened yet. So they brought in Hitler, they brought in Quintus, and they signed Jordan Smythe. But let's continue back with the article. It says, Jordan Smythe was the veteran addition, and he has just 13 catches over his previous 2 seasons. While Baltimore spent their 3 picks on Matt Hitler and Josh Reynolds. It's a long way of saying that Andrews should have the eye of Lamar Jackson even more than he has over the past few seasons, setting the stage for a bounce-back campaign in 2026. Now, with him being a potential breakout candidate, that's kind of crazy to say, right? Because we've seen Mark Andrews break out before plenty of times over the years, not more so recently, but certainly early on in his career. We've seen everything that Mark Andrews.
Donald Trump is now calling for a U.S. ground invasion of Card Island. Moments ago, he posted the following message. He writes that the United States will be hitting Iran, whose Navy, Air Force, radar, anti-aircraft, and all other forms of defense together with the most defensive capability are gone. Very hard tonight at some point in the not-too-distant future. We will be taking Card Island and all other oil infrastructure points and assume total control of their oil and gas markets, much like we have with Venezuela, which is working out brilliantly for both Venezuela and the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, who then rushed to go on state regime media, which calls itself Fox, and they were asking him about blowing up water facilities and this ground invasion, and he just responded by saying the 2020 election was rigged, the 2020 election was rigged. We'll get to that in a moment, but Donald Trump's been panicking, and so has the United States military, as we're now getting confirmation, visual confirmation, despite CENTCOM and the Trump regime's cover-up, that a U.S. long-range radar stationed at the Jabal al-Duncan in Bahrain remains ablaze right now. You can see right here.
This billion-dollar radar system now destroyed as a result of Iran's retaliatory strikes. You
can see right here. Look on the hill in the back. You can see that
completely obliterated. Also,
So now that we're seeing the video and the visuals,
Jordan,
Jordan,
Jordan got seriously hit
hit in the morning.
It looks like
U.S.
US
assets were hit
as
there
well,
major U.S. assets.
As this one account
As this
says,
one
the
account
US
says,
is saying
the US is
Iranian missiles hit nothing
hit
important.
nothing important.
You're
But when
seeing in this
you're
video,
seeing in
over
this
there,
video,
showing the B-roll, is Iranian missiles
striking today show how 3 out of the 4 missiles
the Patriot defenses
defenses and hit a key U.S.
over there
airbase
in
over
Jordan.
there.
So the Al Saud
Air Base in Jordan was hit. The
Ahmed
Ahmed
Al
Al
Jabbar
Jabbar
Air Base in Kuwait. The Ali Al Salam Air Base in Kuwait was hit. The U.S.
It was hit. The U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain was
The
hit.
Sheikh
And the
Issa Air
Sheikh
Base
Issa
in
Air Base
Bahrain was hit also.
was hit. Also, Iran now has fully
set up
major
major
defenses
defenses
around Karg Island, as CNN reports.
Iran spent months preparing for this ground invasion that Trump is now threatening. After
U.S. strikes in March, Iran reinforced the
troops,
with
air
additional
defenses,
troops, air
and
defenses,
shoulder
and
fire surface-to-air missiles, those
air
man
missiles,
paths.
those man
You know, I think
China gave a lot of that technology to Iran as well, and also deployed anti-personnel, anti-armor mines, including along beaches where U.S. forces might land. So
Donald Trump then called state regime media to
start spreading
his threat
that he's going to do a ground
But then
invasion.
he also says, I want to do it
I
tonight.
want to do it tonight. I also think Iran wants to make a
But
deal,
Iran loves
but
the
Iran
press.
loves the
I'll
press.
show you this in a moment. He goes, Iran loves that
Iran loves that they're getting such
press.
positive
They
press.
have like great
They have like great
people
PR
in
people in the United States, and
I
so
speak to Iran.
I speak to Iran all the time. They want to do a deal, but they love the press. He says that's one
One
of
of
the
the big issues.
one of the big issues. He also says,
I want to
"Look,
do
I want to do the invasion of Karg Island tonight, but the
American
American people, they
can't
can't stomach it.
So
So
I want to do it.
I want to do it. I want to
American
invasion.
people,
American
they're
people,
scared.
they're
So
scared. So that's what I'm weighing right now. It's utterly deranged. But here, when he's asked about bombing water facilities in Iran, Trump goes on this bonkers rant, as Rupert puts it, about rigged elections. Just even the way those state regimes get Fox tries to frame the softball to him, though,
They're just
they're
like,
just like,
this is all
so
part of
it's
your
all part of your five-dimensional chess, right? You knock out the water facility to send a message that we're not playing right.
You're talking about
war crimes,
blowing up
water facilities, the bloodlust
on these
horrible humans.
blowing up
Blowing up water facilities so that people can't drink water, the people of Iran, and then you think that
people are going
that
to
people are going to support you? That makes sense to you? I guess if you're regime media, that's what you do. Let's play this clip.
One of the hits yesterday, as our audience probably knows, is a water facility. They were already running out of water. So if you can continue to block it,
now you're taking down their
eyes and ears, you're letting them know you're not playing games. And the rhetoric that's been coming out of them for the last 8 weeks really looks hollow today.
Well, Brian,
you can hear me.
I will say that, first of all, you mentioned 2020, you're right, he got more votes than anybody in history, Republican Party, and he got more votes, but the election was rigged. But in 2024, I really got more. It's too big to rig. And so it's, but we did great in 2020. It was a rigged election.
Then Trump goes, we could walk in there tomorrow.
It'll be easy. We walk into
We
car.
said with just
We
a
said
small
with just
group
a
of
small group
soldiers,
of soldiers.
they're finished, they're
They're
done.
finished.
Their
The
navy's
Navy's
destroyed,
their military's destroyed. They got nothing.
They
They got nothing. We fly over Tehran every night.
Lies about everything.
Everything.
When the U.S.
When the U.S. is conducting these strikes, what we've
seems
seen
that they're doing, the U.S. is hitting
certain radar in the Strait of Hormuz because Trump
is that he thinks if you knock out some of the
Iranian radar,
some of the cargo ships, tankers,
and
they can turn off
their tracking systems,
and then try to sneak out in the middle of the night. And Trump brags like we got out 100 million
oil
since the war began. Okay,
that's like
3 days.
3 days and how it normally is.
That's
not a break. It's like when Donald Trump boasts about
China's buying 12 million metric tons of
soy. Look at the deal I did.
Without any of this chaos, they were buying 28
million metric tons under former President
Trump
Biden.
just hopes
Trump
that
just
people
hopes that
conflate
inflate
millions,
billions,
it's all just
trillions,
like-
and it's all
he
just
just
like,
keeps on saying it, so you're like, good job, Donald.
Good job, Donald.
Let me show you
And
what
let
he
me
says.
show you what he
We
says.
only
Let's
have a
wait.
minute left. Will there be more bombing tonight?
Yeah, there will be more.
Yeah, there will be more bubbling tonight. It will be
Bigger.
bigger.
Don't forget, we've knocked out all of their anti-aircraft. They don't have any they have nothing. I mean, they may get lucky with a shoulder weapon.
With a shoulder weapon or something,
For
but
the most part,
for the most part,
they have no defense.
What if the representatives say you're
Excuse me, they're finished. But the papers,
the media review it.
they're finished. We can walk
We
in
can
there
walk in
tomorrow.
there.
We can take soldiers. I don't want to have boots on the ground, but if I
But
wanted to,
if I wanted to,
we
we
could
could
put
put
a
a
small group of
small
soldiers
group
and take over the whole place.
the whole
They're
place.
finished.
They are finished,
Media
and the
is
media
crooked.
is.
Then he says, I don't know
He
if
says, I
America
don't know if America
has the
has the
appetite to
appetite
do
to
what
do
we
what we
need
need
to
to
do.
do.
So now he's
Now he's
scapegoating
the American people
for why he's frozen
frozen
and why he
just needs
get the hell out of
just
there.
get the hell out of there.
Take the U.S. military
And
try
leave.
to enter into
Try
a
to
deal
enter
that
into a
resembles
deal
as
that
much as
resembles as
possible
much as
the
possible.
Obama JCPOA
Obama JCPOA
deal.
deal. It's going to have to be weaker
because you lost the
because you
war,
lost
but
the
then
war.
get out of there.
Get out of there. Get out.
This clip.
Let's play this clip.
Like an anaconda, you're slowly squeezing them to death.
I'd sort of like, I mean, I'd like to get a deal.
now,
Less than 3 or 4 weeks ago, because once you do,
once you do this,
you could just go a step further. But I don't know that America has the appetite to do what I would really much prefer doing. You remember in Iraq, I said,
don't go in.
They went in.
But they went in. That's a big mistake.
Should have never let
That war lasted 10 years.
tens of thousands of people, millions of people on both sides.
Millions of people. Nobody ever reported that.
Let me tell you, if there's a surefire way to wake up
Fire way to wake up feeling
fresh after drinks with
free
friends,
alcohol.
free alcohol. I'm not 21 anymore.
If I have a night out, I still want to be
You read the
productive.
New York Times and you read the Wall Street Journal Times and
Wall Street Journal.
I mean, I know you guys
I know you guys own it, but it's a great
and you read the Wall Street Journal, it's like they did an editorial today.
About
We're not hitting them
we're not hitting them hard enough.
Not hitting them hard
Not
enough.
hitting them hard enough. We dropped
$50 million
$200.
worth of bombs on them last night. The whole thing is crazy. But and they're
really
in
in
submission. They
submission.
just don't know it yet. Okay, to be honest with you, they just don't know it yet.
And then Trump goes, it could be the
It could
greatest
be
deal
the
in
greatest
history.
deal in history.
It could be the best deal ever. And he goes,
But at the end of the day,
they could say praise be to Allah, but I'll still get criticized.
I'll still get criticized for the deal. I'll still get called out for the deal. Here's what he says. Let's play.
Mr. President,
So I get the impression
that you're frustrated with Iran.
I'm not frustrated. I don't get frustrated.
Well, I'll say it this way.
that it's almost an ultimatum now.
There's no more
That there's no more
negotiation at this
negotiation.
point. You went back and
You
forth.
went back and forth with them. You gave them 2
And now
weeks.
they have to take the deal that you have
Offered them that you tried to negotiate in good faith.
or everything
Or
goes,
everything
and the
goes.
people can be
The people can be
liberated.
liberated. Is that what's happening
Well,
right
that
now?
could happen if we want to keep going. And the deal is
You
a
know,
very good
no,
deal.
it's a very good deal. The problem with the deal is that
It could be the greatest deal in
greatest
history.
deal in
They
history.
could
They
wave
could
the white
wave
flag
the
of
white
surrender. They
flag.
could say, we surrender,
We surrender, we're finished.
The United States is the greatest power. Praise be to Allah.
Be to Allah.
They could do all of
And
this.
they could do all of this. They could
Loud and clear. And
the
the fake news would say
news would say
it
it was a great
Iran.
victory for Iran.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
We're
We're killing them.
killing them.
It's killing them.
Yes,
They have no
killing them.
navy,
They
they
have
have
no
no air force, they have no anti-aircraft. We're flying planes
We're
over
flying
the middle of
planes over the middle of
And then he
Tehran.
says,
And then he says, I can't
they're
believe
getting,
it.
they're getting such great
They're getting such great
Let me show
press.
you this clip.
Let me show you this clip right here. Let's play.
Behind the scenes, I will tell you, they won't even dispute
They won't even dispute it,
Probably
although they probably would because
They're very good.
they're very good. I want this very good publicity, but they're not good at fighting.
I took a look.
I took a look.
I must tell you,
I must tell you,
they can't believe the
can't
president.
believe it.
They can't even believe
They
it.
can't
And
even
they told
believe
me
it. And they told me
amazing
it's
how
just
well we're doing
amazing
in the
how well
papers.
we're
We're not doing so well. They're negotiating with us to make it.
with us to make a deal.
Well,
It's
Mr.
hard for them because they are proud.
They're very proud.
They're very proud.
They've been the bully of the Middle East for 47 years.
Yeah, they have.
They've been ripping
off our presidents of the country for years.
They played Obama.
They played Obama for a fool.
The JCPOA is the worst, one of the worst deals I've ever seen, other than NAFTA, the NAFTA trade deal, which was maybe the worst deal ever made.
Mr. President.
But the JCPOA was a road to a nuclear have it says you cannot have a nuclear weapon. We will not have. And I didn't like it. It wasn't strong enough because it said develop. You cannot develop. I said, no, I want buy also. So they fought me on that for a day, and then they agreed to it. You cannot develop or...
Donald Trump is panicking and he's now calling for a U.S. ground invasion of Karg Island. Moments ago, he posted the following message. He writes that the United States will be hitting Iran, whose Navy, Air Force, radar, anti-aircraft, and all other forms of defense together with the most offensive capability are gone. Very hard tonight at some point in the not-too-distant future. We will be taking Karg Island and all other oil infrastructure points and assume total control of their oil and gas markets, much like we have with Venezuela, which is working out brilliantly for both Venezuela and the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump. He then rushed to go on state regime media, which calls itself Fox, and they were asking him. One by one, judges nominated by Donald Trump for the federal bench were collapsing under cross-examination.
Ladies and gentlemen, a single audio recording can shatter the fragile peace of an entire nation. Imagine the dusty, heat-soaked streets of Ouagadougou, where the ancient rhythmic call to prayer has defined the passing of hours for generations. Suddenly, that sacred tapestry of sound is torn apart by the harsh blare of military sirens and the acrid sting of tear gas. This is a country where over 64% of the population bows their heads in Islamic devotion, a land deeply rooted in faith. Yet in the dead of night, one of its most prominent religious scholars is escorted into the darkness by armed state security forces. The naked truth is that this nation is locked in an existential battle for its very survival, fighting a brutal asymmetric war on its outer borders.
A little bit over 1 year ago, we sat right here on this channel. I talked about a French spy, a man that was arrested inside Mali, accused of working against the Malian state. And at the time, France stood up and denied the whole thing. They denied any involvement. They denied that that man was anything more than an ordinary embassy worker, doing ordinary embassy work. Well, there is a new chapter to that story. We are monitoring already on this channel. And it landed, I think it was last week. It's a heavy one because Mali has now what a lot of people predicted they would never actually do. Mali has jailed that alleged French spy. They have jailed him 20 years behind bars. And with that sentence handed down in the courtroom in Bamako, the long and bitter quarrel between Mali and France has officially entered a brand new phase. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to Frontier Africa, the channel where we track the African story each and every single day, and we do it with analysis, not emotion. Be sure to subscribe to this channel if you have not already done so. Today, we're going to talk about what has happened in that.
Oh, you are going to this class. In this class, one of you can A-level security and other updates were happened for the past 24 hours for Nigeria. All those for that matter. So, as you can see,
agreed to. And they've also sort of indicated, and what Axios has indicated, is that there is a memorandum on principle they've agreed to, a memorandum of understanding in order to pave the way to an agreement. I mean, it's a bit of a headache, this entire process, to be honest, but evidently Trump backed down on wanting to escalate massively with Iran. I'm not saying the World Cup just starting has anything to do with that necessarily, but the timing is very interesting. And still, those final details have not been hashed out. But we are hearing from different sources, the talks have progressed. In reality, according to what we have documented, nothing has actually changed since the memorandum of understanding that was proposed about 2 weeks ago, which of course collapsed, and Israel bombed Beirut after Iran's threats. Iran struck back, and we have now the Israeli media have openly admitted that despite the fact that their military said no Iranian missiles hit anything in that wave of attacks on northern occupied Palestine, they've admitted that Ramat David Air Base was struck. Iran, of course, claimed that they hit a sensitive target, and that sensitive target was a HQ for drones and drone technology monitoring and operations. And it appears that that has now been basically confirmed by the Israelis themselves after satellite imagery revealed that to be true, that they did hit that target. So then over the next few days, more developments occurred when the U.S. suddenly, out of nowhere, Trump said that a Apache helicopter was downed by Iran. Now, Iran didn't officially take responsibility for downing the Apache helicopter. There's conflicting reports as to what actually happened, and I don't know where anyone really has to stand on.
This is Die Perimeter in Burkina Faso, less than 100 miles from the brutal edge of the Sahara Desert. For anyone raised on Western textbooks, the truth is simple. Farming here is impossible. That's what we're taught in school. And yet, under this relentless heat, they're forcing the earth to produce rice, wheat, onions, and strawberries.
camp as the head coach of the Ravens?
First of all, it's gratitude to the players and the coaches for the offseason program that we've had. When you hire a new staff and you put a lot of time and energy into that, you got guys moving from different parts of the country, players coming into something new, having to start 2 weeks earlier than they're used to, which is different for them as well. And so gratitude for them and the kind of